All right, welcome back to Problem Solver Politics. I am your host, Cardin Ellis, with Cody the Oracle.
Hey, everyone.
And today we're going to talk about democracy dollars. Once again, we are back to our pursuit of being able to discuss every single one of Andrew Yang's, not talking points, but policy proposals.
Much better.
And he's got a really interesting one. We've been wanting to cover this one for a long time, democracy dollars. It's similar to actually school vouchers, but just for elections. It's similar to the Freedom Dividend and UBI, but just for donations to political candidates that you support. And this one, I confess, is extremely controversial, at least in my mind, because there are parts of me that says, absolutely, let's go, let's do this. I agree wholeheartedly. And there's parts of me when viewing the opposition to democracy dollars, based a lot in the Citizens United decision that is huge, especially on the left, that says, oh my gosh, no way. This could be the end of our republic as we know it. So we're actually going to hash out on air with you, the viewer, all of the pros and the cons of Andrew Yang's democracy dollars. A lot of people have now tried to copy him, and what we believe the potential impacts of this.
Others.
Oh, okay. I like to think Andrew Yang's the original gangster, and others have copied
He's the originator of thought, as a matter of fact. If you guys didn't know this, if you thought of something, got bad news. Andrew Yang thought of it first. You stole it from him, so.
Yeah. So anyway, let's dive right in. Cody, what are the democracy dollars, and what is Andrew Yang's proposal?
Okay, cool. So as far as democracy dollars go, first thing I like to do is I'll do a brief overview if you guys haven't seen his videos before, of just kind of what he says about democracy dollars. He has a paragraph, I skip past this, and I'll kind of get to what he calls his problems to be solved. So under the current Supreme Court jurisprudence, nice word, individuals can contribute huge amounts to influence elections and politicians. Amending the Constitution to prevent this or nominating judges to overturn it can take decades, and this is corrupting our democracy now.
And he's referencing the Citizens United decision specifically in that sentence. Keep
going.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I would say, man, for the most part, like, it's... Anyway, yeah, moving on, I guess. We can get into this later. We'll get into it later. So as president, I will provide every American voter with $100 democracy dollars for $100 democracy dollars. Anyways, for each federal election cycle, a voucher that they can use to support candidates of their choosing. This amounts to 23 billion plus nationwide per election, allowing for more than 4 times the spending fueled by mega donor contributions and dark money. Idea being we'd be able to out-influence, because I don't believe that the interesting thing about this, you'll notice he doesn't say anywhere here about changing the Citizens United ruling and getting rid of...
Well, he does. He says it would take decades.
No, but what I'm saying is Andrew Yang has done this multiple times, and this is one of the things I really like about Andrew Yang, is that Andrew Yang will look at a problem like this and say, look, guys, we're not going to get this thing just out of politics forever. But what we can do is we can just work to fight the solutions today. And once we get the solutions going right now, then later on we can work about, hey, maybe let's get this ruling overturned. But for now, give everyone $100 an election cycle. It outweighs their money, diminishes their influence without trying to get in some legal boondoggle. I think it's really cool in Yang where he just says, look, sometimes the best solution is to just start at the end and work our way back.
Also, me, much like you, one of the pros in my mind, at least, of this is Citizens United is one of those landmark court cases where basically I go both ways. And instead of saying, no, we must have it this way, or no, we must have it that way, he says, fine, you can have it either way with Citizens United, but here's another path that I am going to add to the conversation instead of forcing you to choose between path A and B in front of you. He presents a path C, which is inherently kind of like a public-private partnership. Some of the biggest tunnels and some of the largest projects that we have in New York City now are private-public partnerships. They're not purely private, and they're not completely public. They're private organizations teaming up with public ones to get something good done for the people. Now, just so we can give a little bit of background, here's a crash course in Citizens United for those that aren't really familiar with it. Basically, there was an organization, Citizens United, that launched a lawsuit against the FEC. And the result of that lawsuit was, and the FEC is the Federal Elections Commission, which regulates all of our elections to make sure that they're done transparently. And the big argument is basically how much can somebody contribute to politics. Usually there's caps. For example, in our local congressional elections, it's about $2,800 for a congressman. It's sometimes as little as $500 to $1,000 max for some of the minimum seats, some of the smaller seats. But they cap how much an individual is allowed to donate or a partnership is allowed to donate to a political candidate, because obviously the amount of money you have gives you an advantage that outweighs your ideological advantage. However, they don't regulate IEs, individual expenditures, meaning super PACs that can give money to elections. And their reasoning was a very tricky sentence that basically ties the First Amendment free speech to the ability to donate dollars. And the left criticizes Citizens United decision as saying free speech is not money. However, philosophically, if I were a man who was dying and I hated gun control, I hated guns and I wanted just pure unadulterated gun control, and I saw the NRA over there is just influencing too much power over the decision on gun control. If I'm a billionaire and I say I want to just die having given every cent of my money to the gun control debate and legislatures who are going to support it, to a certain extent, your ability to speak politically, is directly tied to money. And should a man be able to spend his money how he wants? And so I'm sure there's many people on the left that would agree that it would be great to have a super PAC if it's funding your ideals. And that's the giant hypocrisy of Citizens United. The left criticizes it a lot, but for example, Katie Hill, our local congressman here, has received literally millions in super PAC money. Less than 23% of her money actually comes from donors inside of her district. So it is a mess. Well, how about Citizens United?
Really quickly, I want to highlight something I think will be kind of interesting to look at. I have pulled up here on opensecrets.org. Yes, opensecrets.org. The 2018 election cycle. You want to talk about PACs? And these aren't all PACs, you'll notice. Some of these are just companies.
Yeah.
How much money is getting into politics? As you said, a lot of money's coming in. Well, how much? Well, let's see. Bloomberg LP contributed $95 million 2018 election cycle.
Yeah, he gave $4 million to Katie Hill the last week of the election. And you have to think about that, $4 million. The only reason why I mentioned that,
Bloomberg LP is a little bit different. I could be wrong, but I think it was something different.
Yeah, no, Bloomberg owns Bloomberg LP, and that's how he goes through all of his money. And just to give an idea, though, Steve Knight, the man that she beat, won his first election on $800,000. Okay. And $4 million was the max budget, was more than his opponent that was endorsed by Buck McKeon and Mitt Romney had when he almost won his first time. So for her to get in 1 week more money than the entire budget of her last three predecessors makes her a Goliath going against a David. And you really do have to think, is that a fair fight? And should our politics be a fair fight? Now, the only reason why I think sometimes fundraising is okay and is important is because our politicians inherently have to go fundraise for us. They go to Washington to make sure that they get those government contracts, that they can wheel and deal, that they can work those relationships so they can get to those compromises that are better for our republic. So your ability to fundraise oftentimes is the minor leagues that proves whether or not you'll be an effective legislator. Just like we have AAA ball to prove if you're going to be an effective professional baseball player, we kind of like have fundraising for your election to prove if you're going to be an effective congressman. So I don't know where I stand on Citizens United, but I do welcome anything that gives more of a voice to people that do want to participate. My only question, Cody, is his suggestion of democracy dollars is basically a universal basic income of money you can only give to elections.
Well, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't phrase it quite that way. It's more like the better way of looking at it is every single American, when it comes to donating to an election, has, I guess, similar. It's not a universal basic income. It's just every single American has $100, as you said, First Amendment right to speak on who they wish to see elected or what they'd like put forward, First Amendment wise. You can look at that argument. You have $100 guaranteed to speak with politically
Well, how
every
is that
election
not
cycle.
UBI? To me, that's UBPI. It's universal basic
Because it's not income. It's specifically for one thing.
political income.
Yeah, but it's more like about political speech than it is it's a semantic argument.
You're
just all
right, but I'd
semantics
say
here.
would you not say it's kind of the same spirit of
it is.
unconditional?
Same spirit, but
Okay.
I would just say UBI is more of a people shouldn't be living in poverty thing, whereas I think democracy dollars is more along the lines of everybody has a right to speak politically. So
Now-
I just think they're different ideas, but similar concept. Yeah, the idea being you have a political voice regardless of your income level, regardless of anything. You have $100 voice in politics, and that's good, man. I mean, I want to just really quickly highlight one thing.
Okay.
I believe this.
And then I'm going to do devil's advocate.
Okay,
after
but I
this.
believe they have already been doing the democracy. They call them democracy vouchers, but they've been doing some kind of program like this in Seattle, Washington, I believe, since 2015. Was approved in a referendum. First election was 2017, and jury's still out, as far as I know. I mean, it's been, 2 years less since they had the election, so jury's still out. However, the program was funded by a $3 million citywide increase in the real estate tax, and the system was first come, first served, with just 47,000 vouchers honored. I think more people live in Seattle than 47,000, so it looks like maybe it wasn't the most perfect experiment ever. However, there's also, at the very least, a movement. If someone could give me a better, I don't know if it's a movement or something they're actually doing in the city of Albuquerque, New Mexico as well. But they have what's called BurkBucks.com, and they're also talking about democracy dollars. Are you tired of, all this stuff? So this is something that is being piloted and attempted and is being voted on in other parts of the country. So it's like I said, I don't think this is an idea that's unique to any one person or candidate. I think it's a movement, and it's an idea of saying, it's the idea I like. Instead of just putting your hands in the air and screaming and saying, why did the Supreme Court make this ruling? Saying, well, how about we just try to overweigh their money with public money? And the easiest way to do that is give everyone money to use.
Well,
so
now,
I think that's a cool idea.
Now, you used a very interesting term here, overweigh. And this is where I want to play some serious philosophical devil's advocate. Okay? And a lot of people lampoon this as being elitist or authoritarian or whatever you want to call it. Fine, call it what you want to call it, but this is a legit concern. We do not have a democracy, we have a republic. And the reason why our constitution has had 14 constitutions since the 1770s when we wrote ours, okay, is because we have a democratically elected constitutional republic. We have all of these institutional mechanisms that put a buffer between the mob, okay, and mob rule, and basically good decision making that becomes law. That's why I fight against eliminating the Electoral College, because it would turn us into a mobocracy in which only the elitist coastal cities would win. And it's also why I'm not exactly a huge fan of lowering the voting age, even though I'm a fan of lowering the voter registration age. In this instance, part of the reason why our Constitution has lasted so long is because when it first started out, you had to be a landowner. Now, there were some prejudices in there that we had to get rid of. There was the skin color prejudice, okay, and then there was also the gender prejudice. So, but I did like the idea that you had to have skin in the game. And to a certain extent, that's the problem that I have with a lot of these means-tested welfare programs. I'm a Christian guy. I want to see everybody, all of God's children, taken care of. And I feel the moral responsibility to help my brothers and sisters in this world have the most comfortable, stress-free life possible, to help the poor, to help the sick, help the afflicted as much as I can. So I want everybody that wants a voice to be able to get a voice, okay? At the same time, we can't have uninformed voices ruling us, or else we turn into Argentina. I've lived in countries where voting is mandatory. You actually have to do it or you get in trouble. And what happens is you have to return to your voting districts. And for example, in Argentina, you have to return into the city that you were born. It's kind of like based off the old biblical principle of Bethlehem when, you had to return to the place that you were born in order to be taxed by Caesar. They have kind of a similar rule to that, okay? So everybody basically goes on vacation and visits their parents on election day, and they say, talking around the table, oh, so who are you going to vote for? Oh, yeah, this rock star's running. Oh, that'd be funny to vote for him. I'm going to go vote for him. All right. If all of a sudden we empower a bunch of idiots with money to give to elections, okay.
Sorry,
like
can you repeat that one more time?
All of a sudden, if we empower a bunch of idiots
thank you.
with all this money
Thank you.
to give into elections, are we just going to turn into a bigger clown world or a lesser clown world? And I think everybody is interested. Like my grandpa sends out these hilarious emails, and he's a total Democrat. He's been a Democrat since JFK, but he has this phrase that he puts in these emails whenever a teenager does something stupid, like trying to spin donuts in the parking lot and then hits the school bus, and there's a picture of this like compact car wedged on the side of the school bus. It says, "These people vote and cancel out your vote." You know what I'm saying? So you do have to wonder, what would the effects be? And it's similar to UBI. I mean, there's a legitimate concern are people just going to waste it on dope and video games? Or
as opposed to right now where nobody does that. Currently, nobody wastes the money they get from the government or elsewhere on things like dope and video games. That's one of the cool things.
Well, that's why I think tying democracy dollars to the UBI is of strategic advantage, because the same spirit of the law has kind of proven that people don't get lazy on UBI. So I'm hopeful and optimistic that with democracy dollars, they would not get lazy. And if they are lazy, they just wouldn't spend them.
What are you talking about? Dude, the whole point of democracy...
Not lazy. I mean, they wouldn't just get stupid. Like, hopefully people would, because they would feel at least like they had some scratch in the game. And that's my beef. I want people that have scratch in the game making decisions.
But
because
that's ridiculous. So people always... I hear the skin in the game argument all the time, man. And I guess I kind of get it. But here's the thing about the classic skin in the game argument, right?
Wait, don't you wish that every congressman, before he voted on whether or not we should go to war, had a son or a daughter in the U.S. military?
No.
Like, I feel a whole lot more comfortable with
how about this? How
ex-servicemen.
about this? Do you think that a surgeon performing a surgery should have had to perform that surgery on a loved one so he knows just how important it is to perform that surgery correctly?
No, they specifically disallow that.
I wonder why do they do that? Because you get too emotionally connected. I don't want someone saying, I'm not sending my son overseas when we should, or vice versa. I don't want someone saying, I want my son to fight overseas, so I'm going to go for this war. I want people who are just rational, sane people we elect to represent us because we believe in them making rational, sane choices. I know it doesn't happen very often, but that's what I want, man. Like I said, I don't think giving $100 a month to people will mean that all of a sudden our next president is Roseanne Barr. Like, I don't think that's how it's going to work, man. Like, already currently, if you want to donate money to a candidate, you say, well, why would, if you don't have it, so they won't. Dude, you can just go on Twitter all day and talk nonsense, talking up any candidate you want, and you'll probably give them over $100 in in-kind donations in probably like 6 months.
Well, and
so you could just, we have people that you would consider, this is what I look at it, man. I look at it when it comes to elections.
Okay.
I don't remember the last time that all the smart people got together and voted for the smart candidate, and boy, were they smart. He was the right one.
It was Donald Trump.
Oh,
now all the comments just go crazy. It was a joke, guys. Let's keep going.
I'm just
threw a hand grenade in there, all right?
But there isn't any I don't like the idea. Same reason I don't like tests for voting. Everyone gets a voice, okay? Just because you think someone's stupid or dumb or they're wasting their vote or anything like that doesn't matter, man. It's not your voice, it's theirs. They get to decide what they do with it. They want to give $100 to me because I said I'm running for president and I drop out the next day. You know what? That's everyone's right. By the way, I'm running for president as soon as this thing gets thing, so please donate me your democracy dollars. But that is the abuse I wanted to bring up. I could see. If everyone's got just cash burning in their pocket to donate, we might see an influx of people running for office, just running a big on advertising campaign to get your democracy dollars and dropping out. I think it's too cynical and jaded.
Yeah, it kind of starts a whole new...
easy to legislate against.
It starts a whole new economy of politics, really.
Well, it would be people care. All it means is people actually matter again, and you can't just overlook people because every person's $100. I think it'll motivate candidates to go into communities they normally didn't because every person's $100.
You know, that's matters. A really good point because it kind of starts its own mini electoral college. And this is why I said at the beginning of the podcast, this is an extremely controversial topic. And this is where the liberal in me says, I would totally be willing to vote for this because it sounds good. But then the conservative in me says, now, hold on, we're going to pump the brakes on this. And the way that conservative is assuaged is by saying put a sunset clause in it. JFK said that every sweeping piece of legislation has, quote, unintended consequences. And when you're messing around with the only democracy that's lasted nearly 300 years, I shouldn't say democracy, I broke my own rule there. When you're messing around with the only democratically elected constitutional republic out there that's lasted, 270 some odd plus years, I don't want to do something in one generation that could screw it all up. And Ronald Reagan literally said that every generation is, has the duty of preserving America. So I would say, just like Jonathan Haidt said, liberals are generally motivated by justice and open-mindedness. So my ideas of justice and open-mindedness in the liberal half of me says, awesome, let's go for it. Like you say, it would create a miniature billion-person electoral college. Not billion, but like 300 million person electoral college.
Beyond that, in line with the UBI parallels you drew.
Exactly.
What happens if an organization, let's say you go to a small town and there's 500 people that bound together and say, we are going to, as a group, make a donation of our democracy dollars. What's 500 times 100, dude? All of a sudden, you're looking, groups could get together in counties and say, look, you have to come to our county because we banded together and basically like delegates. You win them all if you come to our city and win us over. And we'll give you a $18,000 check.
It would disempower the party politics because this dual party system that we have sucks. And these delegates are boneheads, all right, and are all elitist cronies in both parties, okay? And the fact that good candidates like Tulsi Gabbard and Andrew Yang don't get further along because of this crazy primary system that's all rigged in cahoots with the media, hashtag let Yang speak, is one of the big problems. And I could see this empowering the Tulsi Gabbards and the Andrew Yangs of the world on that side. My only fear is, what do you do when Kenny Chesney just starts throwing a bunch of pro-Trump concerts where everybody spends their democracy dollars towards that, and you get the typical, you know, like, remember when Kanye West threw a concert for Barack Obama across the street from the voting venue?
I thought it was Jay-Z and Beyonce. Could be wrong.
Yeah. So what do you do when Jay-Z and Beyonce?
Could be wrong about them too, but I remember they were big supporters of Hillary.
Okay,
sorry.
but at the end of the day...
you're saying Obama, not Hillary. Oh my God, I apologize. I remember for Hillary, they were big supporters. To be honest, I don't remember Obama.
Fine. Alicia Keys and Katy Perry, both, for example, threw concerts on behalf of the Clinton campaign. Mm-hmm. So, like, what do you do... how do democracy dollars in that case not lead to a mobocracy?
I don't get what you're talking about. Dude, okay, if your greatest concern of this program, and you're like, dude, the one thing I'm afraid of.
Are you going to make me look bad again?
I'm just terrified that Donald Trump's going to pay for a Kenny Chesney concert. You know what, man? If that's as bad as it gets, by all means.
And if we're starting to get more concerts for free as people, then by all means, right?
If the worst thing is...
bread and circuses.
Yeah, by the way, this is what it kind of reminds me a little bit. I see there's the video game streamer... named Ninja, very famous, very wealthy. People still donate money to him. So as much as I want to say if a rich person ran, he wouldn't just get donations because they're like, well, you're like rich. Why should I give you my democracy dollars? People still would. So here's the thing, though, man. This actually gets back to a lot of what people say about UBI.
Okay.
If your biggest concern is that people are going to waste money, I got news for you, man. People waste money today. So... I just,
and at least it won't be the elitists wasting the money and screwing up our republic,
no,
right?
of course. I mean, yeah, like if you're really afraid that money's
at least we're getting Kenny
wasted,
Chesney concerts and Beyonce concerts out of it, right?
Yeah. If you're shaking your fist because these people went to a Kenny Chesney concert when they could barely, it's like, dude, people do stuff like this. Like, you know what? It's one of those things, man. I don't know what, I don't want to ascribe it to any political party, but dude, like, it's just, I've never once in my life had somebody not give me advice, but tell me how to live my life. Tell me how to spend my money. And me go, oh, cool. So glad you, someone else, just came over and told me without me asking, not as advice, but as like a scolding and a lesson about what I should and shouldn't be doing. You know what? You know what that makes me say? I'm going to do whatever I'm doing even more because go to hell. So that's what I mean. I wasting money is something people do all the time regardless. I do it all the time regardless. So I don't think it's a good enough reason for not doing things like this. I think in the name of giving more of a political voice to more people, again, I guess you can say the parallel with UBI, Andrew Yang always says, I'm not going to tell you how I'm going to help any group of people. Because if I help everyone, I help everyone. And that's what really matters. It doesn't matter which group benefits the most or least from democracy dollars. If it makes the political cycle better for everyone and people have more of a voice. Again, though, you do have to watch out with something like a company getting, like, what happens if AT&T says, you know what, we're going to have something with, and 80% of our workers' democracy dollars are up for grabs. That's a lot of money. So that is scary. The idea of people pulling together and just making people packs, basically, where it's just 8,000 people that pull together on the internet. And that's money you kind of want. So that is my only thing I could see as potential abuses is people doing
Now let's put this, this is how I'll end. I'm okay with this if they didn't get rid of Citizens United.
They're not.
Because, let's just say, for example, Nicolas Cage said, dude, I'm loving this guy. I want to give him $10 million. I'm going to dedicate my next paycheck for my next movie to him. And literally, he gave $10 million to Andrew Yang. I would love to see Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and Pete Buttigieg, these other financial front runners, just all of a sudden shaking in their boots because this guy with better ideas with them all of a sudden had the same amount of money. Whether it's democracy dollars or Nicolas Cage, I want better ideas to rise to the top. The cream of the crop rises to the top, but so does the scum. And right now it looks like it's a 50-50 mixture of scum and cream. I'd like to see a lot better, higher mixture of cream. So anyway, please, guys, let us know what you guys are thinking. Let us know your opinions on the democracy dollar, Citizens United. Even Kirsten Gillibrand is coming out now saying she wants to give $600.
Yeah, how about that, Andrew Yang? Yeah, you want to give one? How about 6?
Yeah, copycat. But anyway, let us know what you guys think. If you haven't liked this video, please like it. Please subscribe. If you guys want to donate to our channel, you can check us out on problemsolverpolitics.com, or you can just click on the PayPal link that's in the description and just give a reoccurring donation of $5, $10, $15, whatever you can afford, dollars per month. We take it all. We love it all. Thank you so much for the support, guys. We'll see you in the next video. This is Problem Solver Politics.